Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Primetime News. We have a lot of stuff to go over as usual. We have eBay updates, USPS updates. We have Primetime Crime back once again, and we have some news on the lighter side. But let's jump right into it with another eBay money grab. As of June 1st, 2022, eBay increased the cost of promoted listings so that the final ad price was based not only on the final selling price of the item, but it's also now based on the shipping, the taxes, and any other applicable fees. Now, if that is not enough of an increase for sellers who use promoted listings, eBay dropped a bombshell announcement on them this week when they let them know that as of July 11th, you will no longer be able to set a minimum ad rate of 1%, which is something a lot of sellers use as their strategy. You are now going to have to set that minimum of 2%. And mark my words right now, as of this video, this is not going to be the end of the increases. I predict that these increases are going to continue to go up, and this is just the first time. Now, this is something that gets a lot of resellers angry because resellers generally cannot stand when anything is done that restricts their freedom of choice. And a promoted listing platform where you are paying a percentage extra to advertise, you should have the freedom to be able to set that minimum starting at 1%. And then if you want to go up above that and be more competitive with your ad, that's your choice. And again, make no mistake, with a promoted listing setup, that's the only way that you increase your competitive edge is by bidding up more. So if the majority of people are putting in 1% for their promoted listings, then if you want to invest 5%, 6%, 7%, 8%, you're going to have an advantage over those people. So it doesn't really matter for the seller if all of the sellers are bumped up from 1% to 2%. That bottom line is still going to remain the same. In fact, the only thing that might happen is some people might just say, forget it, and they'll just wind up leaving and they won't do the 2% because they just wanted to do it 1%. And so maybe you'll have actual less people who use promoted listings. But eBay probably worked it out so that they figured that even if a small percentage leave, we're still going to make more money in the aggregate by increasing things to 2%. And that's the real reason why they want to increase this, is making more money on eBay's end. It's not, as they say here in their announcement, to drive seller success or to ensure your campaigns remain competitive in reaching buyers in our growing marketplace. If eBay really wants to make sure that our listings are competitive, how about improving the search engine function, which should just be done for everybody, whether you're paying promoted listing fees or not? So, this announcement just didn't make sense to sellers. Everyone saw through it that I know that looked at it, and it really kind of insulted sellers' intelligence. So I've said for a long time, eBay really needs to improve the communication, and this kind of corporate announcement that came out to kind of, make it look like a money grab on their part was actually something done to help us. It just doesn't make any sense. And if anything, it's really going to continue to increase the chances that people are going to just get fed up with eBay, and they're going to start doing things to promote their items that don't involve them having to pay an extra fee, such as putting their items on live social media platforms, places like Whatnot, for example, that I've talked about before. But eBay is seeing what is going on with Whatnot and live video auctions, and they are now responding. And that takes us to our next story. All right, so if you happen to catch my interview with Jack DeMeo, marketing manager through Whatnot, you may remember me asking him the question of whether or not Whatnot was prepared for other platforms like eBay to come out with something similar to what they are doing, which is the live in-person video auctions and buy it nows, where sellers could just interface directly with their consumers and just sell directly to them. So this way they don't have to even worry about a promoted ad or promoted listing. Them being there in person live is the promoted listing. They're right there. So that's one of the things that's made it really popular. eBay has seen a lot of money go over to Whatnot. And so they are now responding by announcing this week that they are launching live shopping for collectibles. Now, there's a lot of caveats about this, and we don't know the full details yet because eBay hasn't announced it. All they have announced is that the first series of this is going to involve trading cards, which is very popular on Whatnot, by the way. There's an eBay seller named Bleecker Trading, and it's going to be hosted by a trading card enthusiast named DJ Ski. And this is all going to happen on their new eBay Live beta. They have an app for it. They have a little website they put together where they're talking about what this might look like, which looks similar to what you'd see on Whatnot, as you could see here. People could interact, and in some way, they're going to be able to make a purchase. Now, I do not think that eBay is just going to open this up to every seller right off the bat. I think most likely it's going to be very restricted, at least at first, which is how they introduce a lot of things in beta. And boy, oh boy, I mean, they've really got to fix a lot of things to compete with Whatnot. First of all, they're going to have to compete with Whatnot by making sure that finally, people could get instant payments on their items, or at least be able to instantly show that the money has been taken out of the buyer's account, which is what happens on Whatnot. You could at least see that. And know and be comfortable that that the item has actually been paid for. So we're gonna have to see where this goes. I'm definitely gonna be following this. This is definitely interesting, but I think eBay is finally responding, and we'll see what happens. All right, another eBay update. I mentioned this was coming in a prior video, but eBay sellers can now transfer funds to their bank account in minutes for a fee. Of course, there's another fee. What's the fee going to be? This time it's 1.5% per transaction. It's a minimum charge of 25 cents and a maximum of $15 per transaction. So technically, eBay does need to wait a day, one business day, for payments to clear from sales. However, after that has occurred, then you could do this express payout option. Now, you could still for free do the daily payouts, which is what I do. You could do the bi-weekly, you could do the monthly, but if you want it instantly, quote unquote, instantly, you now have this option available to you. All right, now in our next installment of eBay's Glitch of the Week, many of you use eBay's automatic feedback feature so that you don't have to manually type out the feedback every time. And instead of just automatically leaving feedback for buyers, what was happening is that it was also leaving feedback for sellers when you bought something from somebody on eBay. So that is not the intention of it. It's not that you're supposed to leave the feedback automatically for other sellers you're buying from. It's supposed to be that you're leaving the automatic feedback from people who buy from you. So if you were using that automatic feature and you didn't necessarily intend to leave that positive feedback, maybe from someone you bought from, you might want to take a look at that. And I don't use this feature, but if you do, go in and check and see if it's still doing that. That's definitely a weird one. All right, now a few important USPS shipping updates came out this week through Pirate Ship. One of the announcements is that as of July 10th, they are launching a new service called Parcel Select Ground Cubic. So this is now Parcel Select, essentially, in which they're going to speed it up a bit. So now it's going to go 2 to 8 days in terms of delivery fees. So sometimes it is going to be your cheapest option. So you definitely want to look at that when you are checking your different shipping options available. I sort of talked about this last week when I was mentioning how USPS is trying to speed up the Parcel Select ground service. Now, for those of you who do a lot of media mail shipping, people sell a lot of books, like myself, you are going to notice that media mail rates are going to go up about 10%. In addition to that, signature confirmation. The price for that is going up. Now that's going to cost $3.10. And also, USPS is updating how they calculate zones to make it more accurate according to them. That is going to make some prices go down for your shipping, but other times your shipping is now going to go up. It's going to depend where you're shipping to. So there's lots of changes coming. You need to be aware of them. And so hopefully you find this consolidated update helpful. This is actually something I posted in my Facebook group earlier this week, the Reselling Resource Center. If you're not a member of that, it's free to join. The link's in the description section. So come on by and check us out. We're about at 30,000 members in the group at this point. All right, now if that all sounded like bad news, here I have some good news for you to make you happier, especially if you send out stuff in soft packages like this. Well, you know, when you put something in a package, so here's my like trusty little notebook right here. So you put it in and then you seal it up and it has like this little extra area here, right? That's called selvage. And USPS was actually going to restrict the size and the amount of selvage that you could have in your soft mailer because they were complaining that it was like messing up the processing machines and stuff. So, fortunately, they decided not to implement this new dumb rule where they were going to say you could only have a maximum of 2 inches of selvage on the length and width of a parcel. Could you imagine if they put that in place? So right now they've stopped it, but who knows? They might actually come back to this at some point. But this just goes to show the type of thinking that is going on right now, and it's just becoming more and more challenging to deal with shipping these days. All right, so here's an important national trend story you need to be aware of because during the pandemic, there were a lot of retail stores, big box stores like Target, Walmart, Macy's that were placing big orders for things that were in demand at the time. So we're talking about things like outdoor furniture, loungewear, electronics that people wanted. All of those things that you couldn't really find back during the pandemic days now those orders are coming in. Now the orders were delayed, right? They were delayed because of the pandemic and there were clogs in the shipping ports and everything. So they're coming in, right? But here's the problem: people don't really want that stuff as much anymore. So as a result, a lot of these stores have too much stuff coming in and they're going to be slashing prices on this stuff like crazy. Now I know a lot of resellers don't do so much with furniture and loungewear, although you can make some good money with that. But particularly look in the electronics area because that's a big area where you can make money in reselling. So look for a lot of costs to get slashed in retail stores, and you might have some good retail arbitrage opportunities there. All right, so here's another national trend story because of the recent crash in cryptocurrency. And if you're not familiar with that, basically refers to a digital form of currency that is actually based off of mathematical equations that are processed by computers. And to do this, you need some high level graphics cards. And as a result of that, and the demand and the height that cryptocurrency got to during the pandemic time frame, I even reported stories on it here in the news where people were getting these graphics cards and they were charging insane amounts of money for it and getting it on eBay by finding ways to access it earlier through bots and that sort of thing. But now, because the cryptocurrency crash has occurred, a lot of people are freaking out and thinking that, you know what, they don't really need these graphics cards anymore. And so they're just trying to, get rid of them and sell them. So if you have alternate uses for graphics cards, based on something else you do, like maybe video gaming or something like that, this is a great opportunity to get these for low. Or you might even want to invest in some of them for reselling because the market on them, probably at some point will go back up again. So there's a good opportunity to get some of them at a low price. All right, so we're going to jump into the Primetime crime series. And this story just goes to show why you have to be very careful when you open the door, especially if someone is disguised wearing some type of uniform to pretend that they're someone that they're not. And sometimes people do this with postage delivery outfits, which is why you're not supposed to resell those types of things. Here's someone wearing a FedEx uniform. And you could see that they're, poking around trying to get into the door. Now, the guy behind is not wearing a FedEx uniform, but the first guy is. And you could see also he's carrying around a package. And so they're trying to look like delivery people. And what happens when they get into the residence, don't worry, you're not going to see this part, but they actually shoot the guy in the chest and steal the cell phone. So obviously, if you have any tips, you could see the number is on the bottom there to report it. But it just again goes to show you got to be careful when you're opening that door. If someone looks suspicious in any way, don't answer the door. Just let them leave a note, and you could go investigate and pick up the package later. Also, make sure you know what your local delivery people look like. Get to know them so you're familiar. In my area, it's pretty much the same FedEx people, the same USPS people, and the same UPS people. So you'll get to know them, and this way, you'll be able to better detect if something seems off. All right, now I know the price of gas is high. In fact, I went to fill up today; it was 4.99 a gallon here in Central New York. But please do not go out and steal gasoline and then quote unquote resell it. You're going to get in trouble quickly for that. Obviously, you would have to let people know you have this discounted fuel in some way. And how are you going to get rid of all that fuel? Well, what these people did is they actually advertised it on social media, which of course is suspicious anyway. Don't ever buy fuel off of someone like that anyway. You don't know, if they're keeping it, stored properly, or if they put any additives to it, if it's going to ruin your car, that kind of thing. Not to mention, it's just dangerous even for the people who steal it, because you've got all of this fuel and, it's just a recipe for disaster. Something could go up in flames really quickly. Crazy. These people now face charges of larceny and possession of burglary tools and conspiracy. It's just a big mess. So crazy, crazy stuff. Now, one of the subjects we've talked a lot about on this channel is retail theft. And when I've covered that subject in the past, we're covering adults who go into stores and brazenly steal stuff from it. But in this instance, we're talking about a mom who allegedly kicked it up a notch, as Emerald would like to say, and sent her 5 and 9-year-old children in to steal shoes because presumably no one would suspect the kids of stealing the sneakers, right? Well, at the same time, the real big flaw with that plan is that 5 and 9-year-olds are not going to be too good at avoiding detection because they're really not going to know how to do that too well. So that's probably why they were caught pretty easily. And now she's in a heap of trouble. So just sad to see the lengths that people will go to, including involving their kids to try to steal stuff. All right, now here's a word of caution for those of you who purchase things in bulk at auctions, either in person or online, or maybe you buy some collectibles in bulk at a place, say like a flea market. You may get some items that look like they were produced by a certain company or organization, but in reality, they're actually not. And sometimes those images could contain something controversial on it. This is an instance of this here where these coins came out, which are designed to look like they were produced by the United States Border Patrol, but they actually weren't, according to the US Border Patrol. And it depicts this controversial scene, which you may remember in the news media last year, where one of the US Border Patrol agents is seen grabbing the Haitian immigrant by his shirt and, trying to round him and others up. And this created a whole big political firestorm. Now, I really try to avoid covering politics on this channel, and that's not what this is about. This isn't about politics. It's really about the reselling aspect of it. But you do have to be aware of controversial images like this. So because a controversy was raised with people who are messaging this guy, he actually wound up taking it down and looking into it a little bit further. And he says in this article that he plans to put this and the other coins he has like this back up. What wasn't covered in the article, and this is by NPR, is that regardless of whether he feels he's able to authenticate it or not through the U.S. Border Patrol, I don't see any way that this is going to get around eBay's policy of offensive items. And so I think once people start reporting that to eBay and they catch wind of it, the listings are going to get taken down anyway. So I don't think that's going to be a realistic venue for this person to be able to sell these things. He'll probably try to sell them some other place like a local trade show. But again, just be aware of that, especially if you're getting involved into controversial items. All right, now, do you remember in other videos I've done where I always talk about looking behind picture frames as places where people put hidden treasures? Well, someone went into a flea market in Florida and looked behind the picture frame and found this image of Mickey Mouse. Now, what was purchased actually only cost $10. And after doing a lot of research, now there is some controversy about this, but you can read the whole story if you want more detail. But there are multiple authenticators who believe that this is an unofficial, original Mickey Mouse drawing by Walt Disney. So Disney aficionados can comment down below on what you think after reading the article, but they have enough confidence in it now that it is officially available for auction, and it is estimated right now that this is going to go maybe between a million to a million $500,000, or maybe it will go for more. We'll find out. I'm sure I'll see an article about the final sale price, and if so, I'll update you on it. Super quick business update here. I've talked about Value Village before in the past, and they are now going to be opening two quote unquote boutique locations in Toronto's West End, and look for them possibly to expand to other areas. They're literally going to call it the Value Village Boutique. Now, that sounds like on the surface that it's going to be a place that has real fancy schmancy types of items in it, but it's actually just a marketing ploy. All it means is it's going to be a tiny thrift store in a small space. That's all it is, but they're calling it Value Village Boutique. Here's a record-breaking eBay charity sale this week. It's a buffet with Warren Buffett, $19 million, shattering the prior cost of a celebrity lunch, which was around $5 million. So that lunch better be good, Warren. I'm telling you right now, there better be pizza, there better be wings, there better be ice cream, Mountain Dew. There better be a lot of good stuff at that darn lunch. All right, now another record-breaking sale. This is for a sealed VHS tape of Back to the Future. It sold for $75,000 at auction on Heritage. Now, the reason why it sold for so much is because it was one of the first sealed Back to the Future tapes that was made and released, but it wasn't released to the general public. The person who owned it was none other than Tom Wilson. Remember him? He played Biff in the movie McFly. McFly. Yeah, that guy. So, crazy sale. All right, now this is a fun story here, and it really goes to show you why you got to pay close attention to those old black and white photos that you might find in a thrift store or a flea market or a estate sale. This particular one was found in a thrift store, and if you look closely at it, you could see here it says BBBA. That was a reference to a basketball league called the Breckenridge Basketball Association. And this photo is actually marked as being taken in 1892. Now, that's a year after James Naismith invented basketball with peach baskets back in the day. And this is a women's basketball league. And look at the outfits that they wore to play basketball back then. They literally were wearing black dresses, and they had boots on and long stockings and stuff. I mean, I guess we still have the long socks, but could you imagine trying to play basketball in this these days? They were able to identify a few of the women who were rich socialites back in the day. So I would have loved to go back in time and actually see that basketball game and to compare it to how basketball is played now. It would have been absolutely hilarious. But a great historical find. Not sure on what the value of it is, but I'm sure it actually will command a good price. All right, now in our heartwarming story of the week, I'm going to leave you once again with the amazing story of another awesome FedEx driver.
3-year-old catcher has gotten pretty good at tricks since joining the Menzies family. Good job. Her latest trick? The disappearing act. Our contractor left to go to lunch and he shut the front door, and the wind blew the door open while I was gone, and catcher escaped. Lisa Menzies and her husband were out of town at the time. She could have wandered out to a busy road, and you hate to think what's going to happen then. But shortly after catcher escaped, Menzies got a message from her FedEx driver letting her know he had a special delivery. He just said, "I found your dog, and the address on the tag is where I'm going to take her." And then he put her in the house with such care. All caught on this ring cam. In my head, I was thinking of the theme song from the Titanic. He was taking such care and love with her that it was really amusing. Dance? The 3-year-old golden retriever now back to his old tricks, thanks to the kindness of a stranger. He interrupted his day and his package delivery schedule to pick her up and then hand carry her into our home and lock the door behind him. And he is certainly our family's hero. Menzies still hoping to thank their hero in person. Other than to thank him via text, I don't know him personally, so we haven't seen him again yet.
All right, well, that was a fitting end of Primetime News. Let me know what your favorite news story was down in the comments below. I got my trusty notebook in my eBay envelope still, so hopefully when I toss it over now, that will protect it and it won't blow up. So let's see what happens here. Oh my God. Such a mess every time. Oh God. I'll see everyone.